But I want to talk about sort of the grand scheme of things. And the problem is not just the bureaucracy, which is a massive problem, because we have a massive bureaucracy that rules over us. And I don't care how many times we vote in election cycles and so forth, our voting has nothing to do with the growth and power of this unelective fourth branch of government. Now, Congress, having delegated broad lawmaking power to the executive branch and its departments and agencies that Congress created, contravenes the separation of powers doctrine. And our Congress now watches as the president inflates the congressional delegations even further and repeatedly proclaims the authority to rule by executive fiat in defiance of the same Congress that sanctioned a domineering executive branch in the first place. And notwithstanding Congress's delinquency, but because of it, an unquenched President Obama, in a hurry to expedite a societal makeover, has repeatedly admonished Congress that if it won't act soon to protect future generations, I will, quote unquote. In other words, if Congress will not genuflect to his demands and pass laws to his liking, he'll act on his own. So we have a president who has declared himself king in those instances in which he seeks to act with or without congressional authority. Well, what else does that mean? And Obama's made good on his refrain on a growing list of matters. He has, in fact, displayed an impressive aptitude for imperial rule. With the help of a phalanx of policy czars, from immigration to the environment and labor law to health care and welfare and energy, Obama has exercised his executive quote-unquote discretion to create new law, abrogate existing law, and generally contrive ways to exploit legal ambiguities as a means to his ends. He's also declared the Senate in recess when it was not, bypassing the Senate's constitutional advice and consent role to install several partisans to top federal posts. The progressives love this, but the framers called it despotism. So I'll call it despotism too. We right-wingers. Yes, we right-wingers. And the third branch of the federal triarchy, the judiciary, is no better. Among the biggest myths is that the men and women of the judiciary, and of course there are exceptions, operating under monk-like conditions, would dutifully and faithfully focus their undivided mental faculties toward preserving the Constitution. They would apply their expertise and experience and insight free from the political pressures and biases of elections and the legislative and executive branches of government, and within a narrow scope of authority and purpose. It was assumed there was little to fear from this part of our government. Alexander Hamilton in Federalist 78, he wrote, "Whoever attentively considers the different departments of power must perceive that in a government in which they are separated from each other, the judiciary, from the nature of its functions, will always be the least dangerous to the political rights of the Constitution, because it will be least in a capacity to annoy or injure them. And yet in the early years of our nation, having seized for itself the final word on all matters before it, no more than 5 members of the 9-member Supreme Court can now impose the most far-reaching and breathtaking rulings on the whole of the nation, for which there is no effective recourse." And you know what? Turns out our justices are also God's children. They consist of actual flesh and blood. They're no more noble or virtuous than the rest of us, and in some cases less so, and they suffer from the usual human imperfections and frailties. And the court's history proves it. In addition to delivering the routine and in some cases exceptional rulings, the Supreme Court is responsible for several notorious holdings, including Dred Scott versus Sanford endorsing slavery, Plessy versus Ferguson affirming segregation, Korematsu versus United States upholding the internment of Japanese Americans, among others. During the last 80 years or so, the justices have rewritten sections of the Constitution, including the Commerce Clause, redefining non-commerce as commerce — Obamacare is a perfect example — and the tax provisions, redefining penalties as taxes, to accommodate the vast expansion of the federal government's micromanagement over private economic activity. And the justices have laced the court's jurisprudence with all matter of personal policy preferences relating to social, culture, and religious issues, many of which could have been avoided or deferred. So what do we have here? What was to be a relatively innocuous federal government, operating from a defined enumeration of specific grants of power, has become an ever-present and unaccountable force. As I've said many times before, it is now the nation's largest creditor, debtor, lender, employer, consumer, contractor, grantor, property owner, tenant, insurer, healthcare provider, and pension guarantor. And with aggrandized police powers, what it does not control directly, it bans or mandates by regulation. The federal government regulates most things in your bathroom, your laundry room, and kitchen, as well as the mortgage you hold on your house. It designs your automobile. It dictates the kind of fuel it uses. It regulates your baby's toys and crib and stroller. It plans your children's school curriculum and lunch menu. And it administers their student loans in college. At your place of employment, the federal government oversees everything from racial, gender, and age diversity of the workforce to the hours, wages, and benefits paid. Indeed, the question is not what the federal government regulates, but what it does not. And as I've said before, it makes you wonder, how can a people incapable of selecting their own light bulbs and toilets possess enough competence to vote for their own rulers and fill out complicated tax returns? I'm afraid, folks, it's asking too much of the people who've created this situation to fix it. And they've also created fanatical adherents who will oppose you and me every step of the way. They just don't care. Or they've been conquered by or surrendered to this. But it's not asking too much of a great people. We the people, to turn a calm, scrutinizing eye upon ourselves and rally to our own salvation. It's time to return to self-government, where the people are sovereign and not subjects, and can reclaim some control over their future rather than accept as inevitable a dismal fate. Unlike the radicalism of the governing masterminds who self-servingly oversee a century-old perpetual counter-revolution against the American people, we the people must have as our goal the reestablishment of our founding principles and the restoration of constitutional republicanism and the nurturing of the individual and the preserving of the civil society. This requires, first, an acknowledgement of the federal government's unmooring from its constitutional foundation. Second, an acceptance that the condition is urgent and, if untreated, will ultimately be the death knell of the American Republic. Third, the wisdom to rebalance the government in a way that is without novelty and true to the framers' original purpose. And fourth, the courage to confront, intellectually and politically, the statists' stubborn grip on power. Do you think our Republican leadership, folks, is up to this? Do you think the Republican consultants and operators are up to this? Do you think the Republican fundraisers are up to this? Do you think all the ex-Bush officials all over cable TV and in other areas of opinion are up to this? I don't think so, do you? Well, one day we, you, me, millions of us, have to take matters into our own hands. No, I don't mean violence in any respect. One day, we have to take back our government, and there are ways to do it. What are they, Mark? There are ways to do it, and we will be talking about that in the months ahead. But first and foremost, we have to recognize and accept the environment in which we're living right now. And we have to recognize and accept that in so many respects, in too many respects, it is an unconstitutional form of a system that has been put in place. And this is why you have quote-unquote IRS scandals. This is why you have quote-unquote EPA scandals. This is why you have favoritism, cronyism, massive spending fraud and abuse and waste, confiscatory taxes, no respect for private property rights, no respect for entrepreneurs or businessmen of any kind, claims to represent the middle class, quote-unquote, when in fact the middle class is being targeted. There are reasons for all this.